Okay, well, good football Friday, New York Jet fans and NFL fans. It is December 3rd, 2021, 7:35 a.m. We are in the midst of Week 12 actually Week 13, I believe, of the 2021-2022 NFL season. It kicked off last night in New Orleans, where the Dallas Cowboys, coming off that Thanksgiving loss last Thursday in overtime, went in and beat the Saints 27-17. I believe the Saints have lost 5 games in a row since Jameis Winston went down. They did replace Trevor Simeon as quarterback, um, but still different. I should say no different outcome last night as the Saints fall again, and their grip on some sort of playoff berth, wild card berth, seems to be going away. Before we go into our Jets preview against the Philadelphia Eagles, just want to go over some news and notes around the league. A couple of weeks back, maybe even last week, Thanksgiving week, we reported, or I should say, I re-reported what was on Twitter and on the other outlets that Antonio Brown had a live-in chef who parted ways with him. It wasn't amicably. It was, I guess, he didn't pay the chef or whatever it was, but there was friction there. This person came out and said that Antonio Brown had paid for a fake COVID-19 vaccination card. At that point, the NFL and Antonio Brown's agent made statements, both saying that the paperwork was legitimate. Well, I guess there was a more in-depth investigation because as of yesterday, Antonio Brown and two other players in the league, um, and the report I read, I'm sorry, the reporting I read did not show the other two names at this point. Were suspended for 3 games due to this. Um, so the thing is, Antonio Brown is out for 3 weeks. The other two players are out for 3 weeks. And this is, you have, I think, 4 weeks left in the season, depending on when the bye is and whatnot. But this comes at a crucial time, um, both on a personal level and a professional level. This was a risk that they made to themselves and to the team, um, and it bit them in the rear end, and now they're going to be sitting. You have to wonder if the NFL will conduct more of these investigations and try to piece together um, if they use the same people, if other players were involved with getting these cards as well. So this is going to probably be something that goes on for the rest of the season and possibly for the near future with, of course, vaccinations being required, or not required, but requested and suggested. Also, in the news, has nothing to do with football, but Major League Baseball is in a lockout right now. Um, it, it's second or third lockout I can remember. Um, they've gotten through the previous one. The one before that, they actually canceled the World Series. So I don't think this is going to go as long as the previous ones. I think they will resolve this, but right now, baseball's in a lockout. Um, but I'm in football season mode right now. When football season is over, you go into hockey mode, which the locals are holding their own. The Islanders, who were favored, in my opinion, out of the three local teams, the Rangers, Islanders, and the Devils, to really be successful this year, to get to the finals again and possibly win it all, are hurting both health wise and in the win column. The Rangers at right now are impressing me. I didn't think they'd be as good as they would with the new coach and whatnot. And the Devils are a young team, and they're basically where they are, and it's right now just a an average to below average team. Uh, and uh, and that's it. And of course, okay, the Mets signed a big name pitcher a couple of days ago, Matt Scherzer. I think it's like 40 million a year. Um, but again, in typical fashion, we go to a lockout. But again, I think they'll play. Uh, According to the draft status right now, I believe the Jets and Giants will be picking 4 out of the top 10 picks if the draft ended right now. I actually think it's Jets 3, Giants 4, um, Jets 6, Giants 7. And then there's another team in there that has the 5th and the 8th. So could you imagine? I mean, talk about being on the clock. They're gonna be on the clock for 20 minutes. Um, I don't think we used both first round picks. I think we traded one of them out to get more draft value, to get more picks in the draft, maybe to bring in a big name receiver or whatnot. But that's where the draft is right now. And of course, that could change with the 4 or 5 games remaining. But even the first round pick that the Jets will be getting for Jamal Adams trade to Seattle is going to be a top 10 right now, as they have 3 wins on the season. So, things are rumbling there. Um, Russell Wilson probably will be someplace else next year. I think he gets out of the NFC uh, Central. I'm sorry, the West. Does he go to Minnesota, where Kirk Cousins is, just been Kirk Cousins, good when he has to be and not good all those other times? Does he go to the Giants, Russell Wilson? Does he go to the Saints? Does Jameis Winston come back? Does he go to the Dolphins? I mean, there's so many places that need a quarterback. Um, Houston's going to need one also because they're playing with their rookie QB. I don't know if he's the future, but also Deshaun Watson will not be playing for that team. So there's a lot going on. This offseason should be a lot of fun. And it's sad that the Jets have to look to the offseason for fun right now with 3 wins on the season, but that's where we are. Um, and it's not going to get any easier in the future with this team for the rest of the season, as they have some hard teams they're going to play. But let's look at some of the matchups this week. So 2 weeks ago, the Jets had the Dolphins come to town. This week, the Giants have the Dolphins come to town. Dolphins are 5-7. Giants are 4-7. Dolphins have won a few in a row, and I think they continue to win. Um, Even though the Giants won last week, and the Dolphins are not a good offensive team, I think the Dolphins still come out. The Giants just aren't there yet. Saquon Barkley is at an all-time low in his rushing. There's the grumblings they got rid of Jason Garrett and whatnot. So I just don't think. I think the Giants right now um, are just trying to get through the season, and I think you're going to see a major overhaul. GM is going to go. That's been reported to be rumored. You don't know if you're going to have Joe Judge gone. You don't know if Daniel Jones will be here. Saquon Barkley. So you could see a brand new Giant team next year. But right now, the face of the Dolphins, I think the Dolphins win. Colts and Texans. Colts have really come along. They're really playing strong. They should have beaten Tampa Bay last week. They lost very late in the game. They went punch for punch. There's a Texans team that the Jets beat last week. I think the Colts go into Texas and beat them. They go to 7-6. Texans fall to 2-10. Vikings and Lions. I keep saying the Vikings have to win one game this year. I'm sorry, the Lions have to win one game this year. Vikings are 5-6. They want to get to 500. The Lions could win this game. I'm not saying they can't, but I think the Vikings win this one, and the Lions fall to 0-11-1. Cardinals and Bears. This should be a no-brainer. Cardinals get their 10th win. They go to 10-2. Bears go to 4-7 on the year. Chargers and Bengals. Well, Bengals 7-4 at home. Chargers 6-5. I should say Bengals are 7-4. They're at home this week. Chargers are 6-5. Before the season, I'd say this is a pre-playoff matchup. It still could be. As of late, though, I think the Bengals have really resurged themselves. The loss to the Jets, that big-time loss um, a couple of weeks back, I believe, to the Browns. Or did they beat them? I don't remember. But the Bengals have, from that loss to the Jets, have bounced back. They played strong. They're at 7-4. I think they get to 8-4, and I think the Chargers will have to tread water to try to get into the playoffs. And I really thought they'd be a lock for a wild card, if not the division. Buccaneers and Falcons, and the Falcons are in the same boat to me as Dolphins, Jets, Giants, Jaguars. The only thing is the Buccaneers have an older QB. I'm sorry, the Buccaneers have an older QB in Tom Brady, but the Falcons have that older QB in Matt Ryan. Um, they were talking yesterday on WFAN, Boomer and Geo. His contract just makes it impossible for Atlanta to try to move him. So he's going to be the quarterback at least for next year. And even if they bring in a new QB, they're still in this rebuilding um, stage. So the Buccaneers will get their 10th win. 10th win? Can't even see. Their 9th win. They'll go to 9-3, and the Falcons will fall to 5-7. Jaguars and Rams. This should be all Rams all day. Rams 7-4, Jaguars 2-9 in LA. The Rams want to keep in close contact with Arizona for home field advantage. Arizona has a 2-game lead right now. Excuse me, especially with the win over the Rams earlier in the season. But I think the Rams take this when they go to 8-4. Jaguars fall to 2-10. The Washington football team and the Raiders. For the beginning of the season, you'd say, all right, Raiders have a more talented team. They should take care of this. Easy peasy. Yes, I use easy peasy. Um, the Raiders have been through a lot of adversity this year with starting with the John Gruden thing, which, by the way, he's suing the NFL and Paul Tagliabue. Um, the wide receiver issue with the horrific accident. The other player that was posting threats on social media. So through all this, they're 6-5. They're at home. Washington going there 5-6. Washington played really good as of late. They are on the outs of a playoff spot right now, but a good run can get them at wild card. I don't think they're going to catch up to Dallas. So I'm going to go here and say Washington goes into Oakland and beats Oakland, and kind of throws a monkey wrench into the AFC wildcard picture. Um, so they'll go to 6-6, and the Ravens will go to 6-6. Ravens and Steelers. The Steelers are done 5-1. They get blown out in some games. They've tied with the Lions. They lost last week to Cincy, and I think Big Ben is done not only with the Steelers. I think he retires. The Ravens um, squeaked by last week, but they have more talent on this team right now. And the Ravens will go to 9-3. Steelers will fall to 5-6-1. 49ers, Seahawks. 49ers trying to get to those 7 wins right now, trying to stay relevant in the playoff race. They go to Seattle, always a tough place to play, always a tough place to play in the winter as well with the elements. But Seattle right now is just, they can't do anything right. So the 49ers go to 7-5, keep it going with the wild card race. Seattle falls to 3-9 and helps the Jets with their draft pick. Broncos 6-5, Chiefs 7-4. Broncos need this win, of course, to get really back into the wild card race. Chiefs 7-4 need this. They lost a few games earlier that could come back to haunt them, and this is a Sunday night game, prime time. I think Pat Mahomes does enough to beat the Broncos in KC. The Monday night game, and this is where being a Jet fan, you always that's why most Jet fans, I should say, are always doom and gloom. You have the Buffalo Bills, who have resurged these last 3 years with their QB, with Josh Allen coming in, a QB that the Jets could have drafted 4 years ago. But in all honesty, what would he have done with the Jets between Todd Bowles, who was fired 1 year after having Donald drafted, and then 2 years under Adam Gase? We'd still have Zach Wilson on the team, I believe. The Patriots, Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay, wins the Super Bowl. wins the Super Bowl with the first time in a team in their home stadium, you know, and you say, all right, well, he's out of the 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 conference, out of the division. He's in the NFC. They draft Mac Jones this year with Zach Wilson, with Trevor Lawrence, and they are vying for first place. The Patriots are 8-4. The Bills are 7-4. This is the first of the two matchups they'll have before the end of the season. Late in the season, it's in Buffalo. I don't know what the weather's gonna be like, but just when you said, all right, there'll be a few years where the Patriots aren't relevant, where the Jets maybe can get some ground on them. You know, the Dolphins have their issues also. You do, I said at the beginning, Buffalo's going to be the team to beat in the AFC East, maybe the team to beat in the AFC, and here they are, with a bye week, basically separating them. This is tremendous. Um, you know, if I had a bet on this game, I wouldn't even know what to bet on. I'm going to say because the Bills are home, they win this game slightly, barely, maybe on a one possession game late in the game. But I think the Bills win this one. I don't know how this ends up at the end of the season, though. So those are the games this week. The Monday night game, the Sunday night game should be both very good games. That Monday night game, I believe, is going to have a huge audience watching it, um, and it's going to set the landscape for the playoffs because you may have two AFC East teams coming into the playoffs, one winning the division, one winning a wild card berth. So the Jets this week are home. They're playing the Eagles, a team that they have never beaten at all in their history. Now, I want to think back. I think, first of all, this game is at home, so it doesn't really matter. But the Jets have only won one regular season game in the state of Pittsburgh, and that was in 2010 versus the Steelers in December. Um, and then they met like 5 weeks later, 4 weeks later in the AFC Championship game, and the Steelers won. Uh, and that was the last time we've been in the playoffs. They've only beaten the Steelers, I believe, two or three times in their history. They've never beaten the Eagles. So, PA teams, and the thing is that you don't face the Eagles so often. It's every 4 years. This year we actually got them sooner because of the 17th game of the season, the extra game. This is the extra game at home, so the Jets have 9 home regular season games. The Eagles were in MetLife last week and lost to the Giants. Um, I had this down as a loss before the season ended, before the season began, I should say. And I'm going to keep it with with my head. I'm going to say a loss because they've never beaten them. Now I know both quarterbacks are different, both coaches are different, both teams are different, but just history, I say, keeps it consistent, and they lose. With my heart, the way the Eagles played last week, with Zach Wilson coming back, and yes, he played like a guy who hasn't played in 5 weeks, and that's what his offensive coordinator said last week or during the week this week with the press conferences. I think the Giant game showed us that the Eagles, where they're vulnerable, I think the Jet defense could get to them. The Williams brothers could get to them. I think um, Mosley will play a big part on defense. They're going to hold their offense to very small plays. No big plays will be made. And I think the Jets, with my heart, squeak this out. I'm looking at maybe a 16-10 game. I'm not looking at a high scoring game. What I want to see, again, like I wanted to see last week with Zach, you know, getting to the high hundreds, the low 200-yard passing, a TD pass, even a TD run would be nice, and no picks. Make that smart play. Last week he had that, you want to call it a shovel pass. To me, it was a desperation pass that he just, threw out the running back's back and hit off of his helmet or shoulder pad and was picked off. He's got to eliminate those mistakes. There were a few plays where he threw the ball away, where rightfully so. Um, I think he's going to have the crowd behind him. They were anxiously waiting for him to come back. Nobody wanted Flacco. Anybody who wanted Flacco um, just wanted to win. And as a fan, you know that win meant nothing with Flacco against the Dolphins, and they lost. Last week's win, as sloppy as it was, showed me that they could win without a veteran QB back there. And Zach Wilson could make some steps, and he was not impressive, to say the least. He was not impressive, but he did make some throws. He did extend some plays, and he did run one in for a TD. It's going to be baby steps. I'll take the baby steps as long as they're going forward, and I'll take a win. A loss and he throws for 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks, to me is also a win. Because right now it's not about wins or losses in the box score. It's about the progress of this QB and the team. A win 16-10, and he has, 110 yards passing, no touchdowns, 2 picks, is not a win. I want to see him really take some steps forward. I want to see him take command of that huddle. We need a leader on offense. We haven't had an offensive leader in the huddle. As a QB, so it's probably McCown or Fitzpatrick. And before that was probably Pennington. Because Sanchez and Gino, they were not leaders in the huddle. They had their Thomas Jones and their LaDainian Tomlinsons and their, the Brickashaws and Mangolds as their leaders. Chad was the last leader, QB in this huddle before McCown and Fitzpatrick. So I want to see really Zach mature into this role. You're a QB in New York. Everybody knows QBs in New York. It's, of course, Joe Namath. It's Phil Simms. Eli Manning. Even though Eli, I don't think was that in your face, QB. He was still respected by the team, and that's what this team needs to do with Zach. They need to protect him and respect him. So I'm going to say, in my head, consistently, the Jets are going to lose this game to Philly because they never beat Philly. Literally, never beat Philly. In my heart, I saw the way Philly played last week, and the Jets should beat them. And I'm going to say 16-10, 17-10, maybe 17-13. But limiting the mistakes to no mistakes or to very, very little mistakes, getting the passing yards above 200, making smart plays, throwing the ball away when you need to, not taking sacks on third down when you're in field goal range to get knocked out of field goal range. I think will be beneficial to the growth of the QB. And I also think that LaFleur calling these games has been getting better during the season. So that's it. Also in news, and this has nothing to do with football, the MLB had a lockout yesterday. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but it's just another thing where the fans look at it as big business, and the fans get screwed. And I think this will be resolved before the season starts. But you got to remember, in about 2 months, pitchers and catchers should be reporting. So how quickly this gets resolved, I don't know. But welcome to December. Excuse me. First week of December, first weekend games in December. We're in the final quarter or so of the 2021-2022 season. I can't believe how quickly it went. It hasn't gone the way I'd like it to go for our team. I know a lot of people feel that way. Between, dropping those first few games, to Zach getting hurt, to Mike White, to Flacco, it's just been, a rough one for the Jet fans and the Jets. I want to see a brighter future that starts with the QB, and he had his first game back last week, and he'll be his second game back this week. And let's move forward with this. Please reach out to us. I'd love to hear if you go to the game, if you went to the game, if you went to Texas. It looks like we had a nice outing in Texas, a nice showing of fans in Texas. What you do, your game day rituals. Like I said, I've been showing you, my background. This is part of our NFL, or I should say, our New York Jet room, our family room. This is where the big screen is. This is where all our memorabilia is. Um, and this is where we come together when we're not at the games. So, send us what you do, what you wear. Do you have a ritual? Do you have a superstition? I'd love to hear it. You can reach us on Twitter at the Takeoff is our Twitter handle. You can join our Facebook page, the Takeoff. You can email me at thejetstakeoff@gmail.com. And of course, you can subscribe to this video, the Takeoff Alex Parziali. You can Google it, you can find it, you can retweet it, forward it to anybody. We'd love to get a lot of more subscribers. We'd love to hear from you. Send us pictures, send us videos, anything that's the content be suitable so everybody can watch it. And, have a great day, have a great weekend, a blessed weekend, a blessed weekend. I don't know the right way to say it. Have a healthy weekend and a safe weekend. Go Jets.